Good morning to everyone. Happy Sunday, Grand Rising. It's a bright Sunday morning, and you're gonna hear my yard and my neighborhood is quite noisy. So you're gonna hear dogs barking, you're gonna hear roosters crowing, you're gonna hear birds singing, and all the other Sunday noises that people typically hear. Good morning, Shalom. So this morning, hi Nikki. um, this morning we're going to be having a very interesting discussion, a continuation actually of our 6-6 meditation that took place on Thursday. And Tonya Bob, good morning. Donovan and everybody from Bali, yeah. So we're going to be having a very important and interesting discussion on trauma, because Tonya got a very interesting download that she shared with the meditation on Thursday morning. And she says, I don't know, this download might have you guys all shook. And we were. Now, why it's important is because it's all about trauma. And I don't know about you guys, but you know that everybody's talking about trauma. Every therapist is talking about trauma. Every holistic practitioner is talking about trauma. But if you think about it, we've all, since the beginning of time, experienced trauma. So why is it affecting us much more now than it ever did in the centuries before? Good morning, Al Pilliner. Good morning, Sherry. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to be joined this morning by Tonya and also by Divine, Empress Divine. So if both of you are on, can you send me the request, because I'm trying to send an invite to you. Shh, shh. Hey, Ron, how are you? All right, so we're gonna accept Empress Divine. Not sure what's going on here, guys. I'm trying to accept.
Hey,
Hey,
Paula.
Sonia, how are you?
Grand Rising.
Grand rising to you as well. I see you're out in nature. Nice.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I know you always like. Good morning, Cosmic. Lovely to see you.
Welcome,
So,
everybody. I saw Donovan on, and
yes,
he's in Bali now?
yes,
Oh,
Donovan is in
my
Bali. We're
goodness.
gonna get him to join us this morning if he
He's
can. So,
taking them,
Donovan,
he's
go
taking
wash
them
your
dirty,
face.
dirty foot all over the world.
Donovan, you hear what Tonya said? You're taking your dirty foot all over the world. I love it. Divine,
Nice,
I'm
nice.
trying to get you to join, but it's not going through. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start with Tonya, and I'm going to continue trying.
Yes. And
Because,
Rohan. I saw Rohan on.
yeah, Ron says he's going to join us as well.
Absolutely.
So
Thank
here's what
you.
here's what we're doing. Empress, I tried joining and it says you're unable to join. So perhaps you're going to have to look at your IG and maybe upgrade it, because perhaps, yes. All right, don't worry. No problems. So, Tonya, we're going to jump right in. Hey, she's
Ah,
here.
there she
How
is.
are
Okay.
you?
Nice.
Very
Welcome.
nice. So, here we are. We are ready to just talk about this. So, Tonya, I'm going to allow you to share what you shared within the context of how you shared it on the actual 6-6 morning meditation, the Heaven on Earth meditation. And for those of you who haven't done it, I would encourage you to do that 6-6 portal meditation. The portal that opened on the 6-6 is actually going to culminate on the summer solstice. So it's an important portal that has opened, especially for the children of the sun, because this is all about the sun being at its highest point for the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yes.
So we're talking about trauma. All right, Tonya, I'm handing over to you, and then I'm going to have Empress Divine give her feedback. Um, at a certain point, um, uh, Ron, you can just send an invite when you're ready to talk. Like we talk it out first, and then Donovan as well. You can send your invite when you're ready to add something. All right, I think we can have up to 6 persons here, so let's see what happens. All right.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I'll be fine to, leave the video feed for the moment
Right.
so that others can join, because I feel that this
Absolutely.
is an important conversation for the
It,
collective,
it
and
is.
it is important to allow space for various perspectives, whether in agreement or not, you see,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
and this is by no means meant to be an exhaustive conversation, or nor is it all inclusive, because
Right.
there's so many layers to trauma, and even finding really some way that people would define it. Again, it's very subjective, right?
It
And we see
is.
that play
It
out
is.
all the time
It
in
is.
society, where something happens to someone and they can quickly, address it, resolve it, and move on. And for others, it becomes a lifetime, you know, burden
Staying
that they
on their.
carry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, exactly. And so, as Paula mentioned during the 6-6 meditation, and it was really on my heart to really bring this to the collective from spirit, specifically because, as we know, where attention goes, energy flows. And so there is, as Paula said, a lot of attention being given right now to trauma. And it's from all aspects. Governments are looking at the trauma of people. We're looking at generational trauma, individual trauma, family trauma, ancestral trauma, right? The mental health industry is all focused on trauma. And if you just Google trauma, I mean, you could read for months on months about all the various work being done around trauma to identify it, to see the source of it, to look at the impact on the body, on the mind, on the DNA, even, and
Mm-hmm.
the chronic health conditions that many people suffer from as a result of trauma, and how much attention and resources is being given to the resolution, to dealing with the management and resolution and healing of trauma. So we're
Mm-hmm.
really being pulled toward um, giving attention to trauma in all its various forms.
Yes.
And spirit is like, but wait a minute, what about after? Because yes, trauma does occur, and we've all experienced some form of trauma in our life in different stages. Some as children, some as teenagers, some even as adults, or even our senior adults. So trauma can happen at various stages, and trauma is happening in the neonatal phase before a child is born. If their mother is experiencing trauma, that trauma is introduced to that fetus, right? So
Right.
we see that it I mean, it's something that it seems to be a part of life. And the question becomes, how do we deal with the trauma? How do we address it? How do we heal from it? And how do we move on? You know, how,
Right.
how do we just drop it? And in some
Yes. Yes.
instances, I find myself even talking to people, family members even, things come up decades later where they're literally in tears about something that happened to them as a child, whether
Yes.
it be verbal, emotional, or physical abuses. They're still
Yes.
feeling the pain of it. And just
Yes.
the thought of it conjures up emotions, feelings, and we know that there are physiological effects of that as well, because You know, your adrenaline goes up because now you're in that fight or flight response. Cortisol level rise, and we know what that does to the body over time if it remains in an elevated state. And so we have all of these various mental, emotional, and physical conditions that we're dealing with as a result of something that has taken up energetic space within our being and impacting how we think, how we feel, how we interact with others, and just our ability to live a free and joyful life of liberation, you know? And so I really wanted to have this conversation and bring it to the collective so we could really look at it, examine it, see where we're going with it. What is the underlying agenda, right? Because we know we live within this 3D matrix system. I don't think there's ever really been anything devised that is for our highest good. Let's face it. I mean, if we want to look at what we need to do for our highest good, we have to learn how to heal ourselves. We have to learn how to let go of what no longer serves our highest good. And if something, no matter what it is low vibrational, it's bringing us down, um, having us carry weight, having us remember negative experiences, painful experiences, hardships, catastrophe, you know, all of those things that we were supposed to just experience and learn from and let it go, but rather, for some reason, we held on to it, you know. So what did we gain from holding on to it? Was it
Aha. I think
was it
that's the
attention?
question. That is
Was
the
it monetary?
question.
Was there a monetary factor involved where, you know, and I could go into many, many examples about why people hold on to trauma. And the more
Mhm.
and more people I encounter, when I'm listening and spirit has opened up my hearing to hear behind the words, it's like the first thing I'm thinking is, why are you still carrying that? You know, there's a story, and I'm going to give a story because, again, this is with integrity and compassion. This is not to minimize or say that anybody's trauma wasn't real. This is not to say that, you know, it should be dismissed. By all means, no, it needs to be dealt with, it needs to be addressed.
Right.
But again, the question becomes, how long do we carry it? So before I pass on the mic, let me just end this, what I'm going to start with, by saying a story, a short story that many of you might have heard already. And there's these two monks, you know, walking through, I would say, the town, the village, the forest, wherever. I'm paraphrasing the story. And they come upon this woman, you know, and the monks take a vow they're not supposed to touch women or come in contact with women because, you know, they're supposed to be celibate and whatnot, right? Really focused, really spiritual. They come across this elderly woman and they have to pass a river, get across a river, and the woman needs help. So one monk says to the other monk, well, I'm going to help this woman across the river, you know, because it's the right thing to do. And the other monk says, well, you know, we're really not supposed to touch women, so I don't think we should really be helping her. But nevertheless, you know, the one monk decided, okay, I'm going to help this woman get across the river. And they successfully cross the river, the three of them. And the monk puts down the lady, and she goes her way, and the two monks continue on their way. So after a short while, the monk who was not in favor of helping the woman across the river said, you know, you really shouldn't have picked up that woman and carried her across the river, um, because, you know, that's breaking our vows. And so the other monk who did help the woman said, I know, but when I carried her across the river, I put her down. Why are you still carrying her? So basically, we must ask ourselves the same question. You may be carrying something that's heavy, but at the end of the day, it's time to put it down and don't continue to carry it. And so this is the point of why we're having this discussion, to identify not only why we're carrying it, but why are we carrying it for so long? And what is preventing us from letting it go so we can be free, so we can thrive, so we can experience love and peace and heaven on earth and embrace our abundance and all the rights that are inherently ours as sovereign beings of creation.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Beautifully, beautifully said, Tonya. Because now, let me just do a disclaimer here. Everybody who you see on this live in terms of hosting, the reason why we're subject matter experts is because we've all experienced trauma. And to some extent, we have been able to look at it and decide, okay, we're putting this gently right down here. No, we're not by any means all fully healed, but we're all on the healing journey, and we're all in full awareness of how we have handled trauma over the years. And that is why we can speak to it without having a whole bunch of letters. I don't have to come here and tell you, oh, I have this, I have that. No, 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 no. Right? In fact, like Tonya, because Tonya, I don't have to go into who you are, but you can probably do it after, okay?
Okay.
We've all had the opportunity to interact and counsel people. And one of the things that I do as soon as I start counseling a person, the first thing I tell them, is that you're a healer, because usually they are. And healers always have had to experience a certain amount of trauma so that they can heal themselves and then be able to explain to other persons how to do it. That's the first thing I tell them. And the second thing I tell them is, I don't care what kind of label you have come here with. Whatever it is, we're going to fix it. And you're going to be label free at the end. Because some people come in and they have a list. Oh, I'm neurodivergent. I am this. I am that. I have ADHD. And they're giving me this bunch of labels that they have aligned with. They've mentally aligned with the label. And so they have the 12 characteristics of that label. And they're like, yeah, tick, 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 tick. Yeah, I'm definitely this. Oh, and I'm also this, this is as if. So it has now become fashionable or trending to take on negative labels.
Yeah. It creates an
Perhaps.
entirely new identity around it as well.
Exactly. I think that's what is happening. I'm not sure, but I am thinking that's what's happening because of the pride in which they tell me, "Oh, I'm neurodivergent. I am. I have ADHD. I'm manic depressive, or I'm bipolar," and it's worn with a badge of pride. No, I probably have all of those things, but I just decided that I'm not buying into all of them. I'm gonna fix it. No, I'm not saying that I fix it quickly, right? But the main thing is that people have been programmed to thinking that they will fix it by going to therapy every month for the next 8 years. Can we now see that the therapy trend is almost taking on the persona of the pharmaceutical trend, where you have to do it for the rest of your life? Can we see that? Can we acknowledge that? There's no need. If you help someone, you help them. Like if you are 300 pounds and you went to someone to help you to lose weight, and you remained 300 pounds for the 7 years that the person that you went to help you to lose weight, would you continue going into year 9 and year 10? No. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents. I'm going to ask Empress to weigh in. Empress Divine, go ahead, introduce yourself, and then just tell us where you are on this, because you also do this kind of thing.
Yes.
And you're also the same, you also have gone through trauma. So yeah, subject matter
Can,
expert.
can you hear me okay?
We
Yes.
can.
Okay, great. Well,
Beautiful.
wholeness, and love. everyone. I'm super grateful to be here. And you will hear me say we because I'm not alone. I'm with my spirit team, and we are truly grateful to be speaking on this topic because this has been a long, beautiful journey, and we still have so much longer to go. And so, yeah, Tanya hit on a lot of great things. And, you know, what we do is we channel information from the higher realms. So basically what it is mind control. It is a program that has been put on every person in this planet. And every time they get the like, oh, I can do this. I got the courage. I'm about to do this. And they will come in and do something to make you go back into a loop. So if you do not become self-aware of who you are, your actions, your thoughts, you know, what you're consuming and keeping yourself balanced and grounded, then you will be able to get right back into the program. It's literally like that movie, The Matrix, with all those agents. And it's so funny because last night I had rewatched the latest one again. And I remember at the end when, what's the lady name? His girlfriend? Trinity.
Um,
Trinity.
yeah,
Trinity.
Her name is Trinity.
Trinity, yeah.
So when it was the part for him to choose, for her to choose Neo, and then those NPCs, those agents came in like, Mom, come on, Mom. They weren't even real. So that's another thing to recognize too. You may have people in your life who is literally on your path as an agent to make sure you never heal, that you never move forward, that you continue to stay stuck and stagnant. And that is not
Wow.
what we're here to do. So it's very important. It's so important to have that mind focused. Okay, you look straight ahead. You don't look to the left. You don't look to the right. You just embrace it. And remember, you are beautiful, that you were made in an image of our only one creator, that you are enough, and that you've always been enough, and that it's okay to take it step by step, day by day, and it will get easier as long as you believe that it will, because only you know who you are. Only you can tell yourself that I am healed, that I am working through this, I can do this, and that I will do this. Then as you continue to raise your frequency, you would allow yourself to attract more beautiful people on your journey. Like, hey, we can all do this together. But in the meantime, it is extremely important to block out the distractions, because you can, you know, I could feel it in the energies. There's a lot of you that be like, I be feeling like I do so well, and then all of a sudden I go back to doing the same thing. Yeah, it's the programming, the TV, the music, the food. It's so many things that would just distract you, right?
yeah,
So it's so important to just recognize that, because it's something that is deeply rooted. And it's one of those things where we've learned to just be general about it, you know, acknowledge it and just be general. Don't give too much energy to it, but just kind of work through it, you know, sit with yourself and be like, why am I feeling this? You know, did my soul want to have this experience so that it can grow? But the most important thing to know is that you do have these forces that's trying to control you and reprogram you. And there's a lot of these not so real people out here that's meant to distract you. Okay.
you know, I'm so happy that you actually got to watch that movie again and then bring it into the conversation, because sometimes people will understand better when you give them the movie. It's so strange, but then again, that's part of the programming where they create the movies and people watch them. People relate to the movies better than they relate to real life. And so it's a great example. So I'm glad you gave that example. Now, it's very interesting that you said what you said about the NPCs that are there to distract you. And I'm like, wow, can we marry NPCs? Can we get into relationship with NPCs and have children for them? Because I swear some relationships actually become the trauma that we can wear as a
That we
badge of
signed
honor.
up for. It's the trauma that we signed up for,
All of that
basically,
too.
Yeah,
Yes,
right?
yes,
it
yes.
is.
So I think it's important, and what I'm getting from this is that we actually have the responsibility to look at the negative, because people say you're not supposed to look at something as being good or bad. It just is. But we're programmed to look at anything that happens to us that's bad as negative. So let's just say we are programmed to look at anything negative as detrimental to us and to our future. And then instead of letting it go like the monk by the river and moving on, we take it along with us, right? No, I can't just say to you, oh, well, guys, my advice is to just let it go because it's easier said than done. I know that. I know that. But what this conversation is meant to do is to ask you, why do you feel as if it's important to have the diagnosis? Because a lot of people will come to a session with me and they'll say, but can you diagnose? And I'm like, I'm not interested in diagnosing. I'm interested in helping you to look at what has happened and make a slight shift to get out of the way of the obstacle and move forward, clear roads. And they're taken aback for a little while. They're almost annoyed, like, how dare you not diagnose me? And I'm like, diagnosis is a Western phenomena. Diagnosis is about the same age as the pharmaceutical industry. It is almost one and the same. You are diagnosed so that you can be put on a course of therapy or intervention. Some people medicate you, and then some other people say, no, come and do some talk therapy with me. That's what it is now. In Jamaica, where I am, we don't have the resources for everybody to go do therapy and get diagnosis. And guess what? Guess what? We're still a strong and powerful population. Our parents have raised strong, robust personality and strong, robust people who are determined, who are smart, who know how to outsmart any system that they're placed in, who know how to fit into and excel in any system they're put into. So we cannot keep blaming trauma. Yeah? And we can't keep saying, oh, the solution is therapy. Right? I'm not knocking therapy, but what you need to do is find a therapist that understands that or has not bought into, oh, you're going to come to me for the next 6 years and looks at you as their income for the next 6 years, because that's also happening, right? And so we have to take responsibility. What has happened, is that things that we used to do as persons, we're now outsourcing. We're outsourcing everything. We're outsourcing our food. We go to restaurants. We're outsourcing our exercise. Instead of walking and doing housework and doing physical labor to keep our bodies strong and fit, we're outsourcing. We're buying the fancy equipment to do it for us and so on, right? When we have a mental problem, we're outsourcing instead of looking at how we can. Now, I'm not saying that we should try to do it by ourselves, because sometimes we can't. Because we're in the forest and we can't see the trees, right? But the key is to know that you have the greatest responsibility and not the therapist. The therapist is there to assist you. They'll give you insights and perspectives. And then you have to go and you have to do the work.
Yes, there is work to do on an individual level because the therapist is not with you in your pocket, right? When you have a thought in the middle of the night and wake up with a night terror, or have a dream that creates some fear and anxiety in you, and you wake up in a cold sweat, that therapist is not there at that moment. What are you saying to yourself? What is your mechanism for calming yourself? Are you able to do breath work? Are you able to do meditation? Are you able to make affirmations of your sovereignty, of your divine beingness, of your connection with source, and know that you are love and you are loved and you are not alone? What do you tell yourself in those quiet moments when you're by yourself? It's all about that inner narrative as well. So yes, the therapist can help, And I'm in no ways, saying that, and I'm sure none of us are saying that, the mental health professionals that are out here that have been educated and trained and credentials to help people overcome their challenges, should be eliminated. By all means, we need to utilize these resources whenever they're available to us. But to Paula's point, they are not the healer of us. We are the healers of ourselves. We have to be willing to put that work in to recognize that conditions that happen loss of different things in our lives, loss of relationships, loss of pieces of our constructed identity. And I say this because we saw, during the situation when there was a lockdown, a lot of people suffered trauma from loss. They lost loved ones who transitioned. They may have lost their business. They may have lost their jobs, their source of income at the time. But at the end of the day, many people who are still here, the one thing that we need to really recognize is that the I am is still here. So maybe I am not what I used to be. I am not what I used to do. I don't have what I used to have, but I am still here. I am still alive. I can still breathe and do the things that I am destined to do to fulfill my purpose. And so therefore, yes, it may have been traumatizing at the time to go through a sudden unexpected change, or to have to make shift, or to do without some things that I may have been accustomed to for a time, but I still am. And having an awareness of our divinity and our sovereignty is where our strength lies. And again, as you stated so well, Paula, taking on these various labels of deficiency and dysfunction does not serve us.
No, it doesn't.
You see, but again, to Empress' point, within the matrix now, within this program, taking on these labels of deficiency and dysfunction, there's usually a little bit of a prize attached to it, right? Because now you can get resources of these conditions. You get certain benefits along with these conditions. And the more conditions you have, the more you can get. But guess what? There's a price to pay for that, because the less you retain of yourself, you lose yourself, your true self, in exchange for what the program is offering you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So consider that, people. And many of us, and I want to talk about children just briefly, because I can tell you in the United States that there's a lot of children with that ADHD label, particularly Black male children.
It's intentional.
And and there is a program out there to want to put them in therapy and medicate them.
Yeah.
And these are medicated into adulthood.
Exactly. And then the name changes, and the medication changes.
But it's also a category of disability as well.
But the real meaning of ADHD though is attention downloaded into higher dimensions. That's like, seriously. So that's why they want to put them to sleep, because these children are able to ascend to these higher realms. Like, we have to listen to them. They are so smart and intelligent. So we can't give them those things that's not going to allow them to
fit in the program. They're not moldable that way.
Exactly. So that's why we got to protect them and stop giving them drugs.
And a lot of times when they're tested, they can't find anything wrong with them.
Because
there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
And because a child doesn't want to speak at a certain age, and because a child doesn't speak at a certain age or articulate themselves in the way society says they should be at this age, saying this, doing that, reading this, being able to do that, they're labeled autistic, another disabling, traumatizing label, right?
For
And so
both parent
these are
and
things
child.
we listen. Are we gonna wake up and open our eyes, or remain asleep? And
Interesting,
these are
interesting.
not
I,
new things. These are
no,
things that have just been around us for so
yeah,
long that it's almost like we've become accustomed to it and accepting of it,
yeah,
and not really
yeah.
looking at the harm that is really being done to so
Done.
many
Right,
people.
right. I find it interesting. I love that definition. Can you say the definition over again for us, Empress Divine?
The ADHD means
Yeah.
Yes.
attention downloaded into higher dimensions. That is
Aha.
exactly what it means. So for
Mm-hmm.
anyone who, if somebody's telling you that your child has ADHD, just know they are highly intelligent, highly intuitive, and highly powerful, and do not take anything that is not naturally 100% made from Mother Earth and organic, because that is
Yes,
the only thing that we should put in our bodies.
yes.
Natural.
I want
Yes.
I want to give you guys a story because here in Jamaica we don't have access to first world um luxuries like being tested and diagnosed with ADHD and then given medication, right? There's a story that when Usain Bolt was young, he was hyperactive,
Mm-hmm.
but his principal and the teachers around him saw that they needed to channel that hyperactivity somewhere. So they took him out into the yard and they gave him a cricket bat and a ball and he played cricket and they also put him on the track. The rest is history. Had he been in the US, do you know what would have happened to him? We would not be getting a 9.52. We would not have gotten that world record and a three gold medal Olympian because they would have drugged that capability out of him. Another story closer to home. My son lived in Jamaica, went abroad, 12 years old. He goes into school. They're like, oh, he's not staying on task. We're just going to give him a very low dose, da 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 da. My son graduated last month. He just came off that, whatever low dose they gave him when he was 12. That's 10 years worth of mind altering, physiology altering substance that the government and the education system recommended. And people listen to them because they have the letters and the credentials, right? Now he understands that his performance as an athlete was diminished because he was taking this medication to stay on task academically. Yeah? So we all need to assess a little better what they're telling us about us
Mm-hmm.
and choose therapists and practitioners that give you the tools to fix your problem rather saying you have to come to me so I can fix you. Because there are tools out there to fix the problem. So
Mm-hmm.
all you need are the
Yes.
tools
And
and you're
also
golden.
to that point, Paula, I want to also touch on, we talk about the healing of trauma and the capitalization and the monetization. And we know that, there's resources that have to flow back and forth.
Yes.
So it's perfectly understandable that people are paid for their service and their products. But the one thing I want to mention, as you brought up medication also, is that if you haven't also noticed, there's also a huge market and a huge advertising campaign, and this is pretty much worldwide, on plant medicine and how plant medicine is
It's
going to
so
heal everybody
interesting.
now.
So
Stay
listen,
away.
Plant medicine is the answer to
Stay,
everything now,
stay
right? So
away.
You know,
everybody's a master alchemist
Right.
on plant medicine, and come here, come there, north, south, east, west. It's global,
It
right?
Listen,
And the
Tonya,
farther you go
Tonya.
and the deeper in the forest you go, the better it is. No matter how much it costs, you're gonna sell your firstborn to make this journey over to Indonesia to get, these sacred mushrooms or what. Hey, listen, people, we have to wake up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Daniel just joined. Tonya, my friend Daniel just joined when you started talking. Daniel, we're not bashing you, okay?
No. This is not bashing. This is not bashing. Again, there's something for everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
There's something here for everybody. And the
yeah.
thing about it is when we utilize tools outside of ourselves, whatever that tool is, whatever that remedy is, it is something you are taking in. It is not
To,
inherently within you, which means that you came here without it, which means that you don't need it. You choose to use it. You
yes,
choose to engage with it. You choose to interact with it, whatever it is. Okay?
yes,
So I'm just
yes,
going to
yes.
make that
And
clear.
right, but and as we've said, and the point we're making is that they are tools, but
Exactly.
they are not the healing. So lots of people go on these expeditions and journeys and very, very costly interventions, and they're euphoric while they're there, and then they come back home and they're faced again with themselves. They have not integrated that experience into their life to move on. Many do, but some don't. And so they become now addicted to these retreats, sessions, interventions, and they're now plant medicine junkies. They're doing this and that, ayahuasca, da 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 da, and this one was great and that one was great, and then they don't realize that they have now gotten into a whole situation where they're literally addicted to having these euphoric experiences, and they're on this up down situation. Yeah. So I think it's just important for people to be just aware of what they're doing, be very selective about the person they go to and how the person is intending to help them, and not, yeah, Nikki said it, adopting another crutch. Yeah. So a lot of the work has to happen on the personal level. You have to consciously decide, listen, I want to do this. I need someone who will help to guide me through this situation. And then you very carefully, intuitively, because I cannot tell you the number of persons that have found me and come to me. I don't advertise, I advertised once. But when they saw me in whatever context, they said, yeah, that's the person I need to speak to. And guess what? I had only one session with them. One. And I told them up front, listen, we're going to take as long as it takes, but we're doing one session. And usually all it is just a minor course correction in the person's perspective. They
Mm-hmm.
were holding a particular perspective about themselves, the situation, the trauma that happened, and they couldn't shift. And you just give them a different perspective, and it's like, what? Wow. It's almost like taking someone that say they can't see something and just turning them 2 centimeters, and the whole perspective shifts, and they're
Right,
able to go on with their life with this adjusted perspective, and they're able to see with greater clarity and move forward.
right.
That's all it is usually. So I
And there
think,
needs to be that receptivity as well, Paula, because again, you can work with people who have blocks towards what anything you can suggest,
yeah,
and they're not going to remove those blocks
because they
until
want,
they
yeah,
identify that they should
yeah,
or that they can. It's two different things, right? The people who
yes,
hold on to the block because underneath it all, it's doing something for them. It's affirming who they believe themselves to be,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
those who don't know. And when the light is turned on and they can see clearly, then they're ready to let it go,
Yes. Yes.
you
And
know?
I've had the opposite. I've also had interactions with persons who were not ready to let go, and but they say they're ready to let go, but they're just not. And there's no solution for that. That is just their journey. And guess what? They want to. And guess what? Eventually they will. It's just that their journey may be a little bit longer because their soul has decided, okay, I need to go through a little bit more and I have to have an experiential
Yes.
situation. Some people have to go through several experiences to get it, right? But then there are others who are able to observe and say, okay, when she did that, that happened. And then when she did this, that happened. Okay, let me apply that and see if it works. Yeah? And it works. Yeah? So everyone is unique, everyone is different. I just want
Hmm.
to encourage everyone that's here to start to relook at your traumas and then look at whether you've taken it on as your identity. I remember seeing this expression one time at a time when I needed. Don't let struggle become your identity. And I was like, wow, it was a time when I had taken on the identity of struggle. And that statement woke me up, and I was like, hell no, I don't want to make struggle my identity. And that was the end of that. No more struggle after that. I was like, yeah, I'm not going there. So sometimes it just takes a very small thing to trigger you into healing, to trigger you into realizing, listen, I need to be healed so I can be strong, so I can do this. Sometimes even having a child will redirect your focus into child rearing so that you don't sit down and think about your past. I think the reason why we have so much imbalances is because we have so much time on our hands to think. I don't know what you guys think. Empress, what do you think?
I mean, well, absolutely. I mean, it definitely is that. But the thing for me, mostly, it's the distractions. It's like no matter, it's, you know, a lot of people are unable to focus because they really think they have to do all these roles that this world has told them they had to be. It's telling people how to be, what to do, how to do it, and they're believing that. So the fact that when you can actually sit and constantly think about things, think from your heart and not in your head. Because the thing is, when you are in your head, and I tell my clients this, it is so expensive to live in your head because you allow a lot of manipulation and mind control in all type of ways to come in your head. But when you come from your heart, you know, it's near the soul, and it's like you could be more calm and collected. And that's why they tell you too, don't follow your heart. You know, they tell you things like that. You know, you want to follow your heart because that's trusting your gut, your soul, to make these decisions. And also too, like those negative emotions like fears, worries, doubts, and things of that nature, that comes from being in your head. So just know that when you start feeling that, that's, you know, fear is false experiences appearing real. It's not even real. That means you all in your head. So go back to your heart and go back to your center and allow yourself to focus. You can do it. It's like you have to literally make the choice to want to make these changes in your life and to hold yourself accountable, because we have been programmed. Yeah, accountability is everything. So we have been programmed to be outside ourselves for everything, to ask these people to help us and to come to all these people. But the thing is, we have always been equipped since the day we took our first breath onto this planet. We was equipped literally everything that we need. We just ended up forgetting it. But now we all coming together to remind you from all different perspectives, from however, whatever journey you are on, it is okay because you are right on time. It is never too late and you are limitless, right? So if when we get to that point where we sitting here and just constantly thinking. You have to go do something active. So go have fun, go do something that you love to do, go out in nature or something like that. So open yourself up, because when you in that head, you was over here draining yourself, draining your accounts and all those things. So it's
Yes,
Yes,
good
yes,
point. I saw Daniel made a point that he said you need both head and heart to be in alignment. Um, you want
yes,
to expand on that?
yeah,
Because we've been programmed to, so education system programs us to be logical, systematic, whatever, anticipate issues, be proactive, da, 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 da.
uh,
Yeah, that is helpful for problem solving in their world. But how helpful has that methodology been in managing yourself, your body, and your affairs? In other words, the education system is equipping us to maintain their system. And so we apply that way of thinking to our personal problem solving. Yeah. So I think uh, what you're saying and what Daniel is saying is about the same. Get out of your head and go with the heart. But I think it's all about balancing head and heart. And actually, I think it's more important when the heart leads.
yes, yes.
yes, the heart
I
should
was thinking the
definitely
exact
lead.
same thing.
Yes, the heart should lead, and you use your logic when you need it, though. That's the
Yes,
thing, because the other side of the brain is your creativity. That's how you are the
that's it.
creator of your life,
That's
and they
it.
want to shut you out for that.
Yes,
That's
If you do not
it.
want to have that illness, you don't have to have it. I was diagnosed with lupus nephritis, the worst stage 4 case years ago,
Yes.
over 14 years ago. And I told myself, first of all, I'm not claiming that, because no, I do
Uh-huh.
not have that. Who are you to tell me what I have? And then
Yeah.
I did not take that poison, that medication, because it was making me sicker than anything. What I did was I just changed the way that I ate, and I just kept telling myself, I'm healed. And baby, can I tell you, honey,
Here you are. Here
you
you are
create
helping
your
other
own
people.
world. You
and
can
I'm
literally
seeing,
speak it to existence, anything.
yes,
If you want the
yes.
trauma to be healed, say, hey, trauma, I'm the
Come
boss
on.
of you. You ain't the boss of me. So let's go ahead and get this
You know
going. This
what?
is not going to hold me back any longer.
You know what? People are so accustomed to having a scientific explanation for everything that they literally don't want to believe that you can speak to yourselves,
Right.
right?
Yes,
And they're
yes,
like, okay, that's hogwash. That's shishi stuff. Yeah, that's airy fairy stuff. But the science is now showing that the body will follow the mind and the words. And literally you can speak, and it's in the Bible. It says you can speak life into your body
yes.
if you've been diagnosed with an illness. Some people
Speak
just think,
life.
okay, I need to get some medication into the system to get it back into balance. But in the first place, the reason why the body is out of balance is because there's an imbalance in the mind. Yeah. And so I think at the root of it is getting the mind back into balance, and then once that mind is back into balance, the whole body follows suit. Now I have a question here. I'm going to direct it to both Tonya and Empress. Foot Yoga asked, as a guru, how do we show and bring people to the light? Um,
Yes, I
I'm
saw
gonna
that
answer
question.
first. And then I'm going to hand over to Tonya. I read something that said that the age of the guru is dead. We are our gurus. Tonya, you can answer from the perspective you think Donovan is coming from.
Yes, yes. I see Dutty Foot's question. As a guru, I'll just read it for the group who may have not seen the chat.
Yeah.
As a guru, how do we show and bring people to the light? And to that, I would say, just be the light. Just be the light, and they will see you, and they will come to you towards you if they're choosing the light.
I think that's a good answer. It's a reasonable answer.
It's perfect. I literally got a whole bunch of chills when she said that. So the spirit team, like, yeah, she is dead on point with that. And I mean, it's true though, because sometimes we feel like we gotta do all these things. All we have to do is just be our true authentic self and show up, and that's it. Everything else will just fall into place. You don't gotta be a certain way. Like, you got people that really want to do things, but they think they need to have all this this experience and things like that. But no, just do it. Just be you. Be your true authentic self. That's it. That's
Yes.
all.
Yes,
Yes.
and I think that's a good answer because what they, science, science has shown, science had shown originally that the highest vibration being emitted from the human heart and brain and body was love.
Mm.
But recently, science is showing that authenticity carries a higher vibration than love.
Wow.
And so all we have to do is chill back and be ourselves, and people will appreciate the authenticity and love that you carry. So
But Paula, what is
Donovan, you're already
authenticity?
done. Dirty Foot Yogi, you're already doing it.
What
You're
is
already a yogi because of your
authenticity?
life.
What is
What is
authenticity?
authenticity?
It's
All
being your
right,
Self-love.
true
so
self. Authenticity is
Self-love.
being your true self.
let's break it
Self-love.
down.
Self
Love
love.
of
Yeah.
self.
Not being honest, being loyal,
So
being who
if,
you truly are.
but wait, let's break it down for the scientific community. So if love is the highest vibration, and then as you said, it's discovered that authenticity is an even higher vibration than love, then if authenticity is being yourself, that means loving yourself, loving who you are, loving that who you are created to be, right?
Yes.
That's before
Yes.
you choose any identity, just yourself, your beingness,
Yes.
your oneness with source. I'm in love with myself as life itself. That is
Mm-hmm.
authentic. Not
Yes.
before I became this or learned this or studied this or got this job or married this person or bought this house or bought these shoes or bought this car or bought or went on this trip. I love myself before having done any of those things.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so
All right.
that is authentic. And I want to give space for Rohan. So I am going to leave on that note. I'll be here, but you can take me off because I really want to give
And
space
Well,
for Rohan
and
to
I just
join
wanted to say
if he's
something
still on.
really quick, because I saw somebody's comment about the society making it worse. And I just want to say to the collective, we
yes.
have to stop pointing the finger at them, because again, we are the creators of our life. And it's what you're tuning into, what you're giving your energy to, and what you're focusing on. So if you want to see a world with heaven on earth, and you want something that is more of justice, then say, hey, we are living in a world where it's justice, it's balance, it's harmony. I'm surrounded by loving people each day. If
Mm.
you constantly start saying that each day and feeling it, then it will change. But when you give your energy to saying that they did this, they did that, then you're going to continue to attract these people doing things that you do not want to happen. So it's best that we do focus on the outcome, what we want, the highest outcome, always, as much as possible.
Right. So literally, you can create uh, the optimal version of yourself by visualizing yourself just being happy with who you are. Yeah. And not trying to be what society wants you to be. Be who your family thinks you should be. Be who your husband or your friends think you should be. Just be yourself. The right tribe will be attracted to you being yourself because they're also being themselves and they recognize that you are authentic as well, right? But if you try to be something other than you are naturally, you're always going to be having internal conflicts within, and then you're going to call it trauma, yeah? And then you're going to give it the labels, and then you're going to live in this kind of fear of being yourself. Yeah, so that's very important. Ron, if you're here, send us an invite so that you can join us to weigh in. And Daniel, same thing if you want to join us to weigh in on the topic. That's Rohan, Divine Light, or um Dotty Foot Yogi, who is in Bali right now. Um, yeah, so my advice, I think, in terms of a general advice to people, is that all of us have had trauma, and all of us are on a different journey. So what worked for me may not work for you. What worked for Tonya may not work for you. It is up to you to be intuitive enough to find the solution that is going to work for you, and not just follow what you saw. Oh, I just saw an ad on IG for a retreat and whatever, whatever. Yes, you're going to be drawn. And sometimes when you're drawn to something, it's usually your soul saying, hey, yeah, that's going to work for you. But don't be drawn because of the promotion. Be drawn because you instinctively feel something when you saw that, and you know that's what's gonna nail it. That's what's gonna nail it for me. I know in my spirit. There's something called claircognizance. It's when you know. It's when you know. You don't believe, you don't think, you know. And when you know, you usually are on the right track. And that's how you choose your therapist. Do not look at credentials. Do not look at the cost. Do not look at what your friend did. Look at how you feel. And sometimes you don't even have to go to a therapist per se. It could be a person who you've seen how they operate. You resonate a lot with their message. The reason why you resonate is because they have something that might be the key to unlock you. And perhaps just scheduling to meet them if they have the time and throw some questions at them might give you the clarity or that shift in perspective that you need to be able to have a clear, unencumbered path forward. Yeah? So that's how I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I see a comment. Was Divine? Were you referring to the comment from? It looks like Gloria Mugoya.
Yes.
Gloria is asking about fighting with trauma. So that's a great question, Gloria. And my question back to you would be, why are you fighting with trauma?
Yeah, because it doesn't have to see again, and it's these words,
What
right? We get
you
all wrapped
fight,
up in
what
these
you
words.
fight, you ignite.
You don't gotta fight it. Love it, embrace it, acknowledge it. Hey, I accept that the trauma is here. Now let me go within and sit with this and see where is it coming from. What experience? You lay down, close your eyes, and see if it could come up. Speak to it so it could come up, so that you can allow it to release. You have the control, not it. It's like a lot of people give their control to all these other things. No, you are the one that you come first. So the trauma is gonna come all up into your world. Like, no, hold on. Let's see what you got going on, right? So just acknowledge it, accept it. You don't gotta fight with it. Give it love. Give it so much light. Give it so
Yeah.
much love.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yes. And I was gonna make a point about this thing about us wanting to carry it like a badge of honor, um, to us to get reprieve or disability. Well, I'm this way because I was traumatized when I was 6, and so on, so on, so on, so on. I did it. I was guilty of it, so I know, right? Um, I'm still guilty of it. But what's different now is that I am aware of holding on to it because it feels comfortable, or it's a crutch, like Nikki said. Yeah? So we also have to ask ourselves the question, is this trauma that I have said that I have, is it a crutch? And if it's a crutch, then you strengthen those legs so that you can throw away the crutch. So you use the tools that are becoming available to you, right? also pay attention to the tools that pop up in your world. Um, you're on IG a lot or on YouTube a lot. I have found recently that tools and solutions are popping up in my social media for me to utilize. Hey, maybe that's what's happening now to other people.
Yes.
Pay attention. Pay attention to everything that pops up. The algorithm is going to work with what you're interested in, and it's going to give you the solutions you need. Take them
Yes.
and you do the self-healing, because more and more of us are learning to self-heal and are equipped to self-heal. And then we find the practitioners that just will give us that little push that gets that momentum going, and look at it as such,
Yes.
giving you the push, not someone that you can take your entire problem and just drop it and then lethargically say, okay, fix me. Because some people use that method to um, that approach to their healing, where they're literally saying, listen, you need to come and heal me. No, nobody will heal you. They will assist you on your healing journey, but it's your journey. It's your responsibility. Do not outsource it. You get your support, but you don't lay your entire heaviness or burden on the support. You use the support until you are strong enough to walk on your own. So treat it like learning to walk. The baby comes excited to learn to walk, and that but the baby needs to hold on to something to walk. The baby needs you to hold its hands as it learns to walk, and as soon as those legs are strong enough, the baby is gone. So treat yourself in that way, you know, and don't be afraid to tell your therapist what you want, and that you are not going to go into a 27-step process with them. You just want like a 2-step process. Anybody who tells you that it's going to take 28 steps or 14 steps or give you a 18-week program, guys, can't quantify healing in that way. So that's a red flag. Um, I like this. Daniel is saying, help heal from trauma, hindsight, insight, and foresight. I love that. Um, someone said, Vide Hirin, she said, or he said, I told my trauma therapist what I needed to heal. Listen, help me go into the feelings and notice when I need grounding during the process. She listened and helped, and it helped immensely. So yes, we also have that responsibility because we know ourselves better than the therapist. And
Mm-hmm.
so if we know, to some extent, it's not that we're imposing and we're not an expert, otherwise we would not have gone to the expert, but we kind of know ourselves, most of us, and some of us have been on the healing journey before we went to our therapist. And if we can enunciate what the issues are and help them to help us quicker, then we should absolutely do that. We should absolutely do that. Um,
Yes. And the other thing too, because I
Daniel
know
is
I
going to
said
join us. Go ahead.
I know I said I wasn't gonna go on, but when we talked about, getting stuck in the story, uh,
Yes.
that's one of the things that is a sign of some unresolved trauma, is when people talk repeatedly about the trauma,
Yes.
and they have created a life around the traumatic event. And no matter when it happened, it's as if they just can't let it go. And they tell everybody about it. So if they meet me today, I know about the trauma. If they meet Paula on Monday, they know about the trauma. When they're gonna meet you on Tuesday, they're gonna tell you about the trauma. And the story is an ongoing loop.
Yes.
And I've been noticing that lately about a few people that I've encountered. And I'm sitting and I'm asking Spirit, why? Why? Why are these people still talking about this trauma and what it has done to them and how it felt? And what is
I think,
preventing people from just dropping it and letting it go? Because it's
Yeah,
burdensome,
I think
you see?
that's what Empress Divine was saying. She was saying that people are looping,
Looping.
looping, looping, and looping. It happens when there is a death, um, and people are, offering you comfort, and you end up looping the same story. Oh boy, yes, it's been tough, but the family's hanging in there, and you literally loop just to satisfy the people around you and connect, but you're not connecting. You're just creating a loop to satisfy them that you're talking to them. So I can understand what you're talking about, Tonya. I want to welcome Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel is actually also do does the same thing with us. He, as we all do, a little bit of therapy and assisting people to move into their, highest potential, move through their trauma. So Daniel, welcome.
All right, morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You
Yeah.
can, introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and then, weigh in on the topic.
All right. So first, let me say peace and love to everyone on this platform. Just greetings today, them. All right. Just I won't be on long. I just wanted to nothing happened by chance, so I happened to just turn on the Instagram, and here we are talking about this topic. All right. A little background. What you call it now? Western. My background is in, let's say, treatment. I'll just use that word for now, but I alternate between the two because different persons require different things and different conversation.
Mhm.
And the point of talking to somebody, most of the time you talk to the mask, you don't
Yeah.
get to reach the person. So for me, the thing is to get the person to a place where they feel safe enough to start to remove this
Yes.
so that you can start to talk to them.
Yes.
So when a person continues to go from therapist to therapist or guru to guru or anything, most of the time they're afraid to take this off because when you remove the mask, that is you.
Mhm.
It's like being comfortable naked. So there's a lot of emotion, availability, vulnerability, everything available to you right there. Sometimes I consider what trauma does is just fragment you. It's like if you look into a mirror, if you break the mirror, all of those pieces have a reflection in it. So all of those pieces think it's the real thing. So in many ways, it's learning how to bring yourself together because you are the key. I'll be the first one to tell you I heal no one because I don't have that ability to heal anyone. You have the ability within your own self to heal you because what? The thing is, what I also realize, I'm trying to cover multiple things in just a very short time. Your own self-defense mechanisms will keep you in the loop you're in because that's all it knows. And the fear is to come outside of that loop, to experience life. Because the hardest thing to do is to be present within this moment. Right? So if I should even say for each person on this platform, most of the persons I'm speaking to right now is the inner child within which is still hurting. So you see a reflection of what you think you are. But in many ways, for persons who has been through trauma or severe adverse childhood experiences, we are living in the past, not the present, because all your thoughts are focusing on things that happened so many years ago, because that's all you know to do because you're living in survival mode. The key is to break that cycle by learning how to live in the present, and that is where it becomes tricky. Because what? All I know is the trauma, and if I release the trauma, I don't know how to experience life. So one of the It's like one of the steps. I had a person when I worked with recently, 74 years old, who suffered from something what I don't believe in diagnosis. I'll just use the word in this. He called it the imposter syndrome, dissociative identity disorder, where a person is disconnected from who they are. So the key is to first get that person within your body, because the body is not comfortable. But it starts with alignment. When I mentioned the word about head and heart alignment, the heart is the key what sends signals to the brain. Right now, where the data is, everything starts from here, what controls here. But it's very much easy to live up here, because up here doesn't require a lot of attention. That's our deal, our, what I call it, our fairy tale life, or make-believe world, where we project to people what we want to be. That's why we create our own reality, because our own reality is our little bubble. Most persons don't want their bubbles to burst. It's very comfortable to live within it. So we are here now, because we all know that there is something, let me not say missing, but we're going somewhere. We're all on the same journey. My advice is just to take it a breath at a time, because you truly can't live beyond a breath, right? I am hindsight. There's a word I like. Paula, I will say this and then I'm going to just come off there. All right, Sankofa. The ability to look, let me give a simple, Sankofa. It is not taboo to go back to the past and retrieve what you have lost and bring to this present moment. So for most of us, we help the person go back to that child which is hiding in that dark room by providing a candle to guide themselves out. You cannot guide somebody to a destination if you have not been it to yourself. So we have so many different persons popping up all over the place. Come on, let's do ayahuasca, let's do mushroom. Those are tools, it's not the solution. All those are meant to do is just shut down the analytical brain that you overthink, so we can have a conversation. So many times you want to have a conversation with a hurting child. Those are tools which is used to turn it down a little so you can actually have a talk. Then the work starts from there. But everybody is now plant medicine, this, that, I have the cure. I'll be very mindful of anybody who says they have the solution to your problems, because many of us have not dealt with our problems, and it starts with us. Ashe. And I'll just end on that.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
All right. So I'm going back to listening now. Take care. All right.
Wow, thank you.
That was
You're
beautiful.
muted. You're muted, Paula. Unmute. I can't hear
Oh,
you.
okay. Right. Thank you, Daniel.
I'm glad Daniel brought those things up, because I was thinking, as he said, about the heart brain connection. And I mean, it sounds, I'm curious if you could just elaborate a little bit more about that, because it prompted a thought in me that if a person is dealing with some deep heart issues, around trauma, and then for some reason those things are never resolved, and they go into more of their mind capacity, everything becomes about the mind, and then the thoughts are looping about what happened that affected their heart at a previous time. What would you say to someone in that situation, that they don't feel a connection with their heart,
Right. Numb. They're numb to it. Right. So let me try and answer it this way. If I don't answer it, tell me. All right. It's early in the morning, so the brain is coming online. When something happens to you, let's say at 6 years old, the impact of that trauma resonates all the course of your life if it's left undealt with. So you so the more the trauma is left unresolved, the more this is created, and the more this becomes permanent. It's just built around you. So trauma is not an easy thing to talk about, because trauma in many ways requires you to be open and vulnerable. It requires you to be naked. That's my language. Being comfortable being who you are, whichever facet of who you are. So for many persons, the impact of trauma is throughout the entire lifespan. Even though we're talking now, you're maybe in your 50s or your 60s. Every word what I said was it stimulates a memory, because most of us, all we are our experiences and our memories. So if you take away your experiences and memories, who are you? We're all on a journey of self-discovery, trying to understand who is this reflection that we see in the mirror, not realizing that the reflection in the mirror is still not you. So this is what we see when we look in the mirror, but this is the smallest part of who I am. The versions of you on the screen, what I see is the smallest. That's just us. It's just a reflection. It's not you. So it is coming into alignment with one. We are trying to understand self in a physical world, in a spiritual body, which is energy. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So right there is where the disconnect starts to take place, because you are basing your experience on you're basing your life on your experiences, which if are negative, it alters the way you see the world. We all see the world through different lenses.
Right. Or to your point,
Mm.
not that they're negative, but that we don't recognize what isn't about the experience that is for our highest good,
Right.
perhaps.
Hindsight. There you go. So hindsight is the ability to look behind to the past, because our problem is we continue to live in the past. So that's where trauma resides. It's in the past. It affects you in the present, which alters your future, because you're always connected to that the different traumatic experiences. So it becomes the skin we wear, because that's the only skin we know.
Another
Get it?
another thing that I've noticed is that you know, like you have a pot roast and you get the pot roast into the pot and it's seared, and then you need it to cook down. You cover the pot and it cooks down for a couple of hours. I have noticed a number of people um treat their trauma like a pot roast, and they're stewing in the gravy. And so they actually like the stewing process. They actually are comfortable and happy in the stew, and so they won't come out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's a very strange analogy to use, but I've seen even some therapists or practitioners do that, and they are not aware of why they can't really make traction in terms of helping people, because they're still stewing in their
There's no
sauce,
better.
right?
Yeah.
So if you should ask your question. I know it's very harsh, it's a callous, probably offensive way to put it, but ask yourself that question: am I stewing in the gravy? Am I stewing in the sauce? Am I simmering in my sauce? It's crude, it's harsh, but ask yourself the question, and if your answer is yes, then you start to look for the tools how to get out of that pot. Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for joining
All right,
us.
take care.
Truly
All right, bye
appreciate it.
everyone. That's it.
Rohan is gonna join us now. I'm so happy that you joined us, Daniel.
All right, no problem,
Thank
Paula.
you.
Take care. All
All
right,
right.
so hold on some moment.
There's a little X at the top.
Okay, I got it.
On the top,
I'm using
yes.
my computer.
You see the top? There you go. All right. So Ron, I'm going to send you a message, an invite now, Divine Light, and then right after Ron, I'd like to invite Donovan to come, because Donovan says, "Listen, you guys are talking, but I still don't know how to show people the light." So I want him to come and express it, and then I want us to see if we can answer. All right. All right. Ron, I sent you the invite. Can you see it? No? All right. No, it's not working. Um, all right. So what we're gonna do, because it seems to be glitching a little.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
do a
try
part
one
two.
more. We
We're gonna
we're
do a
gonna have to
part
do a
two.
part two. We can do
We
a
gotta
part
come back.
two. Right, we can do a part two next week, Sunday perhaps, where we discuss this thing of trauma and how to let it go once and for all, how to not hold on to it. Someone made the point um, that the trauma has become merged with their identity that has to be discussed. That's the stew. That's you simmering in your gravy, you know? All right. Donovan has just we're gonna go live with Donovan. Donovan, I've just accepted. Can you see? Uh no, it's not allowing me. Ah, yes. Hi Donovan.
Hello, hello, hello
How
from
are you?
Indonesia.
Why? Welcome,
Whoa!
Donovan.
Welcome.
A lot of people may not know this, but years ago during the pandemic, Donovan and I used to do early morning meditation for an entire year, almost 2 years, on Wellness Experience Jamaica, and that's how we met Tonya. So, guys, let me tell you something. Sometimes the healing journey is just finding your tribe and interacting with them, right? Tonya was this silent participant on every single morning meditation, just like Chin Lion, who is here. Good morning, Chin Lion. And all the other people here that are silent, but they're silent participants. And they were benefiting because what we did, most of all, we did visualizations, but we also started doing light meditations. And the light is intelligent, it comes in and it does all the work, right? So, Donovan, welcome again. You are no stranger to this space. It is so wonderful to have you here. But Donovan is a practitioner, but Donovan is asking the question, how do we, Donovan, you ask it yourself because we're going
All
to
right.
answer it today.
So, first things first, thank you all for this wonderful topic. And being a Jamaican in a totally different space, this topic is so relevant with what I'm seeing happening here at the Yoga Barn. One of the things that I have experienced here is that people don't like to be uncomfortable. People use these modalities as way of escape. And when you try to break it down for them and say, yo, it's a modality, it's not something you use to bring you to the light, they get scared. They back off. They run. All right. So listening to all what you guys been saying, my experience is totally different from what you guys are experiencing. I'm experiencing where they use the modalities as an entertainment, as an escape. And what I find interesting is when I go into class, and if you've experienced a class with me, I'm very much disciplined. It's not necessarily going to reach a point, right? But
Yes.
I'm keeping you in this guidance towards what should be, should be
Mm-hmm.
leading up to the light. As guru, the term guru means bringer to the light, not bringer of the light. So most times when I'm asking that question is how do we as practitioners hold space and meet people where they are and say, all right, cool. Are you really ready to come for the light? Backing up with all of that, with all of you guys been saying, yes, you have answered the question, but I'm still going on and asking, when do we know that they are on the light? Or when do we know that when they're on the path?
Right.
Do they? Mhm. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I love, I'm glad that you asked the question in this way, right? Because what it goes back to, Donovan, is that we are so accustomed to being trained in a methodology that we are sticking with the rigidity of the discipline of the modality, and saying, okay, this is how it must be because this is how I was taught. And there, it's one of those things where intuitively you might have to come off of the path and do something that is unscripted to get that person to be able to receive the light that we're speaking of. So I would say it goes back to the same authenticity that we were talking about, being yourself and using the Donovan modality. Because you know that I'm not trained in any modality, right? But for some strange reason, I get breakthroughs that I don't expect and the person doesn't expect because it's unscripted and we're working off of intuition. And I know, Donovan, that you're very intuitive. So what I would say to you is that instead of doing it the scripted way, which is what you learned when you were or the different courses that you've done, go unscripted. And in that moment when you feel like there is that retreat of that person because of that mask being torn away, do what you feel intuitively in your heart needs to be done to get that person back. Yeah? So go off script. Be authentic. Go off script. And that's when you're going to get the breakthrough. I don't know if you get that.
I get that. I understand that. But do the other person at the other end gets that?
Well, here's the thing. Because you've gone off script. You are no longer communicating with the other person. It's kind of like your higher self and their higher self. And of course, they're going to intuitively get it. And they're going to have that aha moment, right? But I don't think we should spend so much time focused on that because you do large groups. So you might have 22 people in your room, right? And you're not going to reach all 22 using this modality. One person with one statement, because you know, Donovan, when you're teaching how you will just come out with one statement in patois and the whole class cracks up. One person may get it, what you have said. That's what I'm talking about. And they may leave that room and you don't know that they got it. They had an aha moment with that spontaneous outburst that you did in the class while you were teaching. Do you understand? So you may not even know when the breakthrough happens. So more of those spontaneous outbursts from you are what would be the key based on what I know of you.
And I would
You get
just
Oh,
that?
add to
I
that.
was
I
gonna
would
say
just add to
something.
that by saying, as you said, you don't need to know. How about releasing the need to know? Because you're not responsible for whether people get it or not, or move toward the light or not. I mean, we all are light. We all are a source of light. It's a matter of how much light we want to take in and how much light we want to reflect outward, which is why initially the answer to your question in the chat was just be the light. Just be as bright of a light as you can be. And you're only responsible for the work that you need to do. What is spirit telling you to do? What are you called to do? How are you called to show up and be that? You know, and that's one of the things we have to look at as as we call ourselves light workers, or if anything we do that's of a service to humanity, to the collective, we have to be mindful of our own ego getting in and taking up a seat of authority wherein we feel as though we're responsible for the people who have come to us. What we're responsible to is to allow spirit to work through us, to allow our divine nature to take over and allow us to open up that space, open up that portal so that what we've been given, we can freely share and expect no return, would be what I would say to that.
It's interesting, and I just want to say this too, just for the collective period. All of the people that are like us and doing this work, they are actually doing something to try to stop people from reaching everybody. And I just want to say to you, Donovan, that is what's happening. You are so powerful, so just immaculate, and the fact that they're going to stem something in your brain and make you question that. You know what I'm saying? So this is where you have to take charge. Like, no, I'm not going to allow something to try to make me question what I'm doing, because you just being in the essence of who you truly are is always enough. So when you want to start questioning yourself, just know it's something that's throwing something at you that is trying to take you off of your course, because you're helping way too many people. And that's a lot of you all in a collective, okay? When you know that you're doing something, don't second guess yourself. You are already enough. You have always been enough, and you are equipped with everything that you need. And it's not, and just like Paula and Tanya said, it's not about what they're receiving. It came to you for a reason. So just as long as you know that you being truthful and authentic in your right and following your purpose, that is the only thing that matters.
Yep. That's it, D. Right there. You're doing it already. Don't
It.
doubt.
Yeah, it ain't
Don't
nothing you need to change.
doubt.
Just continue being you. You are already enough. More than enough.
Thank you. I accept that. And I will say, I was just playing fool for catch wise.
Aye, you come trust with the people who have sense. We don't mind. We love you anyway. We love you anyway.
I
All right,
just want to
Donovan.
big up my friend Bella, who is here in Indonesia, who joined in. Bella, big up, big up, big up, Bella.
Yeah,
All
lovely,
right. So,
lovely. And
yes,
thank you for bringing that
wonderful
beautiful
topic.
energy. Yes.
Wonderful topic. And I encourage everyone to come to Indonesia. That's all I'm going to say. It's,
Nice.
it, it's totally different from what I've experienced. It's where service is at its best on every
Nice.
level.
Nice. Very nice. Well, just organize it, and me and Tony
All right.
and Divine will be heading your way soon. All
Give me
right.
3 months. Give me 3 months. May I work on it? May I
All
work on
right.
it?
All right.
I
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I would love
Right.
that. I would love
Me
that. So
too.
you better
Yeah.
make sure
Yes.
we can do it.
Yes. Do it.
Yeah, man. All
Nice.
right, guys.
Nice.
Lovely
Okay.
Thank you.
conversation. I'm going to my bed now. Good night.
All right, because we are 11 hours ahead of us. Nice. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man.
Bye bye. Okay, Ron, your turn to come in now, and then we're gonna
And
wrap up.
oh,
Ron, are you here? I'm going live with
and
you now.
Paula, I actually have to step out because I
Uh,
got plans.
Happy birthday,
Thank you.
guys. It's Empress Divine's birthday.
Thank you.
Let us wish
Oh,
her happy,
wow.
happy
Happy
solar return.
Thank you so
birthday.
much.
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Enjoy
Truly
the rest of it, and thank you for bringing your wisdom and your
Yes.
so much
Can you hear me?
to this
Can you
discussion.
hear me?
Uh, yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. So we're telling Empress Divine goodbye.
all right. Wholeness and
Okay.
infinite love to you all.
Happy
Thank you so much.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yes,
much, Rohan. Thank you.
and follow Empress Divine at Divine Destiny
Yes.
444, because he gives insights every day and is always very helpful. All right, thank you, Divine.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, bye bye.
Happy birthday.
Right, so now we have Empress Divine leaving and Divine Light joining. Boy, I tell you. How are you, Ron?
You hear me clearly?
Yes, we're hearing you clearly.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Okay.
Great, great.
Trauma. I love it. I love everything. But
Yes.
trauma is an interesting topic,
Mm-hmm.
and interestingly, we where it's coming from. That's the first place we need to start. Where all of this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we? What are we here for? Who are we? Why are we here? What are we here for? No, I'm of the view, and there are other people. I'm as you know, Paula, I don't call myself a healer, nor do I
Yeah.
give advice. I see everybody as instrument of light. The creator does the work. There's a resonance within all of us that we all access. Um, so we are here really what we call waking up each other or remind each other to live from within us instead of looking for the answers outside. Of course, outside of us inspires us to be authentic, as you guys spoke about earlier, the highest resonance. So we are not here to be like anybody. We are here to for everything outside of us to guide us within us to be more of ourselves. So, but who are we? We have to start there. Who are we? Why are we here? I mean, I feel, and I'm not against anything. I'm for everything because people, if somebody needs to take medication to be on the planet, I mean, I say go for it. And so it's about having empathy and being empathic. Then after you being empathic, then you get them to help. So everything helps at a certain point, right? So I support everything. That's what the work I do is to support everything. So science has proven that what has affected our ancestors is affecting our lives today. So it's coming from in the lineage, and we talk about past lives, and we're not projecting this on anyone, but for who believes in past life, because this has to be coming from somewhere. So we have to get to the bottom of where this coming from, and for sure, there's a higher intelligence, there resonance within all of us, and if it's coming from somewhere, then it can go back. Now, as to how much sessions an individual needs, that's basically up to the evidence that is showing up in their lives. Because it's all good and well to say you don't need this and you don't need that. But then the reality of your experience is going to show you. Because these, what we call trauma in the lineage, I'd like to put it as, is the evidence of what we carry is going to show up in our lives. And so no matter what we say, the truth is what's going on in our lives. If we're going to be honest, and I'd like to say the truth will set us free. It's going to piss us off first because how we got the trauma is we got pissed off, we were angry, something happened, and just to go a little deeper, we're multi-dimensional beings, and the work that I do there, we access time space. It's simple physics.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth of who we are is all knowing, pure, beautiful, abundant, and everything.
Right.
So if we're not experiencing that as evidence in our life, then it means there's something acting upon that. There's a force that is acting upon that. Now, these are what we call the traumas in the lineage that we got affected as multi-dimensional beings. There are different versions of us that are trapped in different time space. So we're in space time now, but we access time space, and these versions of us are still in that place affected by these things that affected. Now,
Yes.
even a baby's soul is just as evolved as ours, and a baby is in the womb and see our parents, and a baby still sees us as gods, and we are all babies, whether or not we believe it. This is our babies here, and even logically, we are supposed to guide that child, we're supposed to do everything. So it's not too far for a child to see us as God. Now, however, the baby sees us as God. Now, when a baby sees a parent quarreling, worrying about money, stuff like that, that child is saying, I'm not going out there to do these two people. These people cannot even look after themselves, cannot even have harmony. I'm not safe. So that's where one of the narratives come from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So of course we induce labor, bring some of these people, children over the veil, and they're here now and they want to go back over because I have addressed situations like that where the child wants to check back out because they don't feel safe and they think it's my fault, their fault. I'm here now giving these people who can't look after themselves. Something is wrong with God. Something is wrong with the source. Something wrong with that higher intelligence that we all is the ultimate solution for all of us. So
Right.
these are what we call the fragmentation, and it creates a frequency within us. And this frequency continues on, no matter how intellectual we get. And I like to say, one of the time I was interested in giving people success. I'm very much interested because success is based on society
Yeah.
and humans. I'm interested in giving people their freedom right now
Right.
because that to me is from source, from higher intelligence. I'm not about giving people success, about freedom.
I want to interrupt you for a second and just give people a little context. Ron does something called ancestral resolve. And ancestral resolve, he helps people to get rid of their trauma once and for all. So it's not a bunch of long talking or reliving the trauma. He's able to get you into a particular state and then remove the trauma and then guide you on your healing path. So that's the context in which he is speaking for those persons who are not familiar with Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, thank you. Right. So these fragmentations, because the truth of word is wholeness and oneness, one with all. But you know, and I like to say when we are saying it's all about taking responsibility for what's showing up in our lives. It's not about blaming anybody for me. It's about taking responsibility and take action. Because these frequencies, if no matter how we get education, um, to any level, we're finding that because everything now is down into health, wealth, and relationship. And we heard all kind of narratives, and some of these are the concepts that are projected on unhealthy coping mechanism, unhealthy belief, unhealthy religious programming, stuff like that. Became certain narratives because, as I said, we are acting upon our thought words and these every day. And that's what everything comes from the heart. The mind or the head is just the synthesizer. It synthesizes everything. It takes instructions from the heart. But in between the heart, there are these debris, these energetic debris that are built up.
Yes.
So there are obscurity in between. I'm here now having a conversation with you. And by the time you get that information, are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you perceiving what from your perspective? Even in this. So there are distortions in communication. So those accumulative debris from we heard that our souls have other experiences. So if our souls have other experiences, it means that it's not about all of these toys and tools are this. But what do we leave here with?
Right. I want to ask you a
We leave
question,
on our
Ron.
soul.
I want to ask you a question within the context of what you're saying and your practice, right? Now, you've been trained in a particular modality, right? I want to ask you if you are finding more and more that you might deviate from the script and intuitively do something that you think needs to be done in a moment. Are you doing that, or are you sticking to the script exactly?
As I said, there's really no script. There's everything that we learn.
Yes.
Everything that we learn is to make us more of ourselves. We have different guides, visible and invisible. You may have been a guide to me. I may have been a guide to you.
Yes.
Everything outside of us, everything that we learn, it's to inspire us to be more of ourselves. Everything that I learn is to inspire me to be more of myself. So all of us are tapped in. All of us are telepathic. Even this phone, the glass, it's all telepathic. And this is how my so and there's that truth. There everything is true from a certain point of view. Now is that truth or belief? We're not into debate, we're into reasoning. So we're all telepathic. There's a resonance within all of us. There's a truth that we all are one with. And as I said, the truth resonates. Anything else is water off duck's back. So all of us have that presence within us. Understand? I'm saying different people needs different because how we address it, we totally let go and let the soul. Or the soul is almost really a recorder. It should record all of our life experiences, and so we allow that to bring up what each person can handle in each moment. No, not every. Sometimes it's intense. I went through my process. I can handle intense. Not everybody can. So the soul brings in what needs to be addressed in each moment. So we want to let go of trying to work it out. We've been doing this for eons, trying to figure it out intellectually and using the mind and stuff like that. Now, as I said, the mind is to be used. Most people are doing it different. The mind is using them. Most people are in mind when really the mind should be in them, because everything is within us. And that is where we are masters. So we're supposed to be masters of our life. You understand? So where
Yeah.
inspiration outside of us is fine. However, when an individual, it's easy to tell an individual that don't do this or do that and stuff like that. But to have the experience is a different matter. And we do
Yes.
use the power of forgiveness as well, but it's not the forgiveness to say that I forgive, but I won't forget and I won't let go and stuff like that. This experience is actually it's an actual experience, this forgiveness. It's letting go of, on all level. It's actually using accessing high intelligence, because that's the only thing. Energy is not created nor destroyed. It just is. And when an individual takes an energy and uses it to do either positive or negative, then they get to keep that energy. Only the high intelligence, I can tell you, can take back that energy and put it back to consciousness. Only we do, we beautiful, because we get a gift. Release it back into consciousness. Because one of the laws of this structure, everything is about structure. There's a structure to existence. You understand? So when we use we use that structure, it's goes back to consciousness, and we receive something from consciousness. But we are all conscious. We believe we're not, and or we have unconscious behavior.
Right.
And that said and done, it's what we are having, that we are experiencing, what we are carrying. So all of these things accumulated, as I said, we have to go back to the root. So that is where we address it from. And one thing is at the time connected to a whole lot. But life is a process. So we're here for the one thing, in my view, to be free.
Right.
And I'm talking about free for this life and every other life, because we are eternal beings.
Right.
But we're working and we're clearing and resolving to be divine, eternal beings.
Right. I love that. This, bringing you on kind of giving us a little bit different perspective in terms of you're dealing a lot with some of the traumas that might have been either past life or in vitro or very, very early, even before the memory that the person has. And I think it's important, right? I want to ask you a question. The kind of work you do, is it possible for people to do that on their own, or is it critical that they come to a practitioner like you? Because that's kind of been our conversation this morning, whether trauma, the term, is trending because we are actually encouraging people to give away their responsibility to heal themselves. They're outsourcing it. Is it possible for someone to go through and resolve ancestral trauma by themselves, or do they need a practitioner? That's just a question.
Okay. Could be a yes and no. However, it's a dance, it's a symphony. We're all here to be ourselves. All of us have different roles in this experience. I do one thing. This is what I do. People work. Once you're doing what you love, it's not work. But we are here to call it work. But once you're doing what you love, it's not work. No, we're here not to be dependent, or we're not here to be independent either. We're here to interdepend. Now, I am doing what I love. You are doing what you love. As I said, it's a dance. Now, you might not have the time to go through. I left mainstream probably definitely from like 2000, and have been, no matter what, whether or not I eat, I'm okay with what I eat, because I've gone through so much. None of this made sense. And I've seen so many people doing all kinds of self-sabotaging themselves. I said I needed to figure out what's going on. So not everybody had the opportunity that I did to come off grid, you could say, to go down this road. No, not everybody is able to still do that, because I mean, people are folks need to pay their bills, stuff like that. So yes, they can, but it requires certain guidance and certain mindset. So when if I tell you all you need to do is to breathe, and that's with your solution. Because really, that's what we do. Well, there are versions of us, as I said, trapped in different time space dimensions. So that again, we need to let people understand how the perspective is, because there are different beliefs, but there is a truth. So telling somebody to go and do it, or if you tell somebody to go and do it, they try it 2 or 3 days. If I told you what to do, you try it 2 or 3 days. Are you going to continue?
Yeah.
Because the amount of projection is 19 out of 20 things that human says is negative. 95% of the population human does is negative.
Yes.
So there's a whole lot of projections. It's evident. So not everybody, people were so conditioned, and I say it's not just this lifestyle, if you will, or who believes we're that way. We have been conditioned for years and ingrained into a certain belief or condition or programming. And then we attempt this 1 or 2 times. People are going to slack off. So I would say everybody do what they are good at. To me, if I want to wash my car, I take it to the man that wash car the best. So I come to you that do herbs. I understand. I come to you because you love herbs. I deal with the people them who love what they do.
Yes.
Not somebody who's trying to do this for money. And you understand. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's all I use. But money is not the source of our supply.
Yes.
I consider myself the instrument of life to guide people. I really want to experience harmony in a massive way on the planet.
Yes.
So, but not everybody has the opportunity to really. I've done so much people, and even there some of them got clear into a certain degree, but they go back into the mind because it's the familiar play, even though they're clear. So this refresher is just a reminder, because if you're cleared, and there is layers as well, because as I said, if you take on eons of debris, it's not going to just resolve in 1 or 2 sessions a lot of the time, but you'll be on a trajectory. But if we're focusing, because we're here to free our souls, but if we consider that, and it's what we need when we need it.
Yes.
But if we're going to concern, because we're not really supposed to be concerned about money, really and truly. The truth of who we are is it takes a fingernail of who we are to earn money, really. Just a fragment of who we are. So if our concern is not that we cannot afford the money, then we need to let that go. That's a trauma in the lineage that we need to resolve. Understand? Because we're abundant. We're probably, we started from barter. So if it wasn't really money, then no.
Barter. Okay,
Barter
got it. Yes.
So if there wasn't any concern about finances, everybody, I mean, how I do my session, I give different specials. I do for free a lot of the times, whatever it is. This is what I do. I do have some rental income and stuff. However, what people need what they need in each moment. And it's not about saying, because when you understand something, you do it. You don't talk about it. And as I said, most important, it's about integrity. We came here to be ourselves. It's like a puzzle. Only one place each of us can go into that puzzle. And a lot of people are trying to live other people's lives, trying to please other people, trying to live other people's expectations. and they're not being themselves. And we are conditioned this way. We are trying to learn about, and I love the heroes, but we're trying to learn about some scholars and learn about all kind of everybody outside of us. Nobody taught us to learn about. We came here with a manual. Nobody taught us how to read that manual. Everything we buy have a manual. So why we don't think human as a manual? You understand? We want to buy our car, we check the car fast. We want to
Yes.
build our house, we check the best qualified persons for the. You understand? We get qualified persons, so that's important. But
Yes.
in relationships, we don't check the man facts or the woman facts, or we get qualified people to guide us. And I love. I'm not against anything. Therapists, everybody, as I said, once people need it, when they need it,
Mm-hmm.
then I would tell them to go for it.
Yes. 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 Yes.
It's about, yeah, I'm interested in people getting help. That's it. So
Yes.
we can if everybody was to do the same thing, so to speak, it's a dance,
Yeah. It would be it would
it's
be too
very, and
homogeneous. It would be too
yeah,
homogeneous. So we need a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
of
yeah,
diversity in terms of modalities and so on. Yeah.
yeah.
So guess what?
I don't get to experience a nice week or a nice house or a night because everybody will be doing the same thing, so to speak. And we have
Yes.
a whole lot of different modalities, but
Yes.
some
Yes.
people doing 10 modalities. So I'm into one good thing. Everybody, I
One.
go to the people
Right.
who do one thing only. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. We're pretty much come to the end of today's session. I see a lot of people just joining. Hello to you all. Empowered Me Wellness, Holistic Living Project, Sister Clarion, Donna D. Swells. Very nice having you. What we are going to do is continue the conversation next week, Sunday. And that conversation is about, are we holding on to our trauma unnecessarily? And what we can do to work on ourselves, integrate modalities, but without making those modalities be crutches. Yeah, we work with them, get the benefit of them, and then we continue to do our inner work. But primarily, it's taking a decision to let go of the trauma voluntarily rather than hold it up as a badge of honor, a label. Oh, I have this. Oh, I have that. Oh, I have to do this. Yeah, it's about changing our perspective on the trauma in order to release it once and for all. And it's just a conversation. And the conversation, as I said before, it came out of our 6-6 portal morning meditation. For those of you that are here that have not done that meditation, go back and have a listen if you have the chance today. It's about an hour long. It's a beautiful meditation, and that's where Tonya shared her insight, and that insight led to this morning's live. Okay, this is suitable for anyone at all that has undergone trauma, is trying to get rid of trauma, or actually is a facilitator assisting persons with trauma. So that's what this conversation has been about. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for staying. This has been a long live,
Yeah.
but a very interesting live with lots of dimensions and color and texture. But ultimately, what we're looking at is how we navigate society and also recognize that, as Empress Divine, who was on earlier, said, sometimes a lot of the self-doubt that we may be holding regarding the traumas and letting them go are planted there by the matrix. And so there has to be an awareness that that is also an external force that we have to navigate. All right, so I'm going
One
to
thing before
allow,
you go,
yes, go ahead.
it's about being true